In the year 1901, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a cold wind moved through the streets. Most people were going home after long factory shifts, tired and just trying to survive life. But inside a tiny wooden shed, two young men were refusing to live an ordinary life. Their names were William Harley and Arthur Davidson. William stared at an old bicycle frame lying on the table. His eyes were not focused on what it was, but what it could be. Arthur held a broken tool in his hand, exhausted but still smiling. William whispered, "What if this bicycle could run without pedaling?" Arthur didn't laugh. He didn't question. He simply replied, "Greater than, then let's build the machine that proves it." They had no money, no experience, not even proper tools, but they had something more powerful: belief. Every night, after long shifts, they worked inside that shed, cutting metal, sketching designs, burning their hands on hot tools, and fighting exhaustion. While the world slept, they dreamed awake. Months passed. The first engine prototype was finally mounted onto the bicycle frame. They filled the fuel tank. Arthur pulled the starter cord. Nothing. Pulled again. Nothing. On the third attempt, the engine coughed, sputtered, and died. A cloud of smoke filled the tiny room. People outside laughed at them. Neighbors pointed fingers. Greater than two boys playing inventors. Get a real job. Failure became their daily visitor. But giving up never crossed their minds. William tightened the bolts again. Arthur adjusted the carburetor. Night after night. Failure after failure. One evening, both were exhausted. Arthur wiped sweat from his forehead and said, "Maybe we should take a break." William placed his hand on Arthur's shoulder. "No, we try again, until it listens to us." They refueled the prototype. Arthur pulled the starter cord once more. The engine coughed, sparked, and suddenly roared alive. The shed shook. Tools vibrated. Smoke filled the air. But that sound was not noise. It was victory. They didn't scream. They just stood still, staring in disbelief. In that moment, they weren't boys. They were inventors. The next morning, they hammered a board outside their shed. Harley-Davidson Motor Company. There was no celebration, no crowd, just two determined minds and a wooden sign. Soon, police officers noticed their motorcycle. Greater than strong frame, good speed, reliable build. Within a few years, Harley-Davidson became the official motorcycle of police departments. Their invention was no longer a dream. It was a need. Then came World War I. Harley-Davidson wasn't asked. They were summoned. The U.S. military demanded thousands of motorcycles. Soldiers rode them into battlefields, dirt roads, and uncharted land. Harleys led messages, carried supplies, and even saved lives. One soldier wrote home, "Harley didn't just carry me through war. It carried my hope." After the war, Harley-Davidson became more than a machine. It became freedom on two wheels. People started riding across long highways, leather jackets, wind on the face. No destination, just motion. The engine sound became iconic, that deep, roaring heartbeat. Vroom, vroom. In the 1980s, Japanese companies tried to take over the market with cheaper, faster bikes. Harley-Davidson faced bankruptcy. Factories slowed down. Workers feared losing their jobs. But Harley wasn't built by quitting. The company innovated, improved quality, redesigned the machines, and they rose again. Today, when a Harley starts, the world turns to listen. Not because of its engine, but because of its story. A Harley rider doesn't say, "I own a motorcycle." He says, "Greater than I ride freedom." The world laughed at two boys in a shed, and now the world salutes their invention. Harley-Davidson wasn't built in a factory. It was built in fire, failure, and unstoppable belief.